Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury is releasing next year in February, and the game looks like it's actually changing some attributes as we've seen Mario with different moves, as the ability to dive, and also the ability to run faster, which we will tackle in its own separate video. But we're here to talk about the big elephant in the room, well, at least the big cat. Bowser's Fury seems to not only be an additional part of the game, but apparently a big part, as it's part of the title as well, and even part of the box art. What is Bowser's Fury though? Now, we talked about what this could be, and how this could potentially just be another game add-on or a possible mode where you play as Bowser, but what is going on with this? You know, is this an actual video game in itself? You know, are we getting a 2 games in 1 pack? Are we getting a whole brand new story experience? Or is this more like little tiny mini challenges that you can do in a different type of way to play the game than normal? Now, before we dive into Bowser's Fury and try to figure out what it's all about, feel free to like the video if you're enjoying so far, and subscribe if you guys are new to stay up to date on all things Nintendo, and it really helps me grow a lot, guys. And also, we're very close to 100,000 subscribers. I want to thank each and every single one of you guys for everything that you've done to help the channel grow at this rate. I really appreciate it. Now, 2 games that I like to pull from when we talk about this is the only 2 games that's really done anything like this in the Mario franchise, and really and mostly in Nintendo's whole franchise, is the Mario and Luigi games. For Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga, you had plus Bowser's minions. You played as a Goomba leading his army against the bad guys of Cackletta in order to save Bowser. And the thing with this is you actually played with the Goomba. You know, you never really played as Mario or Luigi. You played as new characters you never touched before ever. Now, you really couldn't run around an open world or area with these characters. You were more confined to a strategy puzzle-based element, but that was about it. But it's still, you know, kind of reminiscent of what the game is about. Mario & Luigi is an RPG, and that's all this extra mode was a different type of style of RPG. But with that said, the mode itself is actually a lot of content. I mean, it lasted a pretty decent amount of time, and it told its own story, and it was actually not the best gameplay, but it was still fun to have that additional gameplay and additional story element to it, and see kind of how things happen within the story. So that could kind of be the same thing that's happening with 3D World. Hopefully the gameplay is a lot better, and I'm sure it will be. They just didn't really hit that, you know, on the head with the 3DS games. Yes, Nintendo did this again with Mario & Luigi Bowser's End Side Story plus Bowser Jr.'s Journey. This time you played as Bowser Jr., getting all the Koopalings together and fighting off the evil minions of Fawful. So this kind of gameplay still came back. It was the same exact way you played the game in that weird RPG style where the enemies fight each other and you just kind of watch. That's why the gameplay was never that fun, because you're mostly just watching as everything goes on and just kind of organizing your troops along the battlefield. But like I said, the story was really good. It introduced brand new enemies, you know, it showed brand new regions of the map, and it just, you know, had a brand new story in the background that kind of connected everything together. And once again, they're just trying to save Bowser, trying to help Bowser out, and it was a good little piece of the story. And this is something that's very interesting because it was a lot of content as well. I thought I played this one just as long as the first one, and it was a lot of stuff there. You know, for a DS game that just added a little extra mode, this little extra mode was kind of in depth. There was also extra challenges and stuff once you beat the main story. It initially functioned like its own game, even though the game is not that good. Now, I think we can learn from these games. These games all have plus modes, and this is the first time we actually seen something like this for a mainline Mario game, being Mario 3D World. This is a plus mode, and it's Bowser's Fury. And what's very interesting is it follows the troop of Bowsers. We had Bowser's minions, and then initially Bowser Jr.'s Journey, so now we have Bowser's Fury. So does this kind of follow the same path? Now, I'm not saying that this extra mode is going to be an RPG, but I think lots of the other attributes can actually help us to understand what this game is going to be like. As we've already seen from the trailer and, you know, kind of picked out and pieced out, it looks like it's still going to be a 3D World style of game. Maybe just a little bit more open, almost akin to Odyssey or something like that. At least this looks like a giant open hub world area, which is very interesting. So, you know, it looks like it is still going to follow the main game, and that's kind of what the other games did as well. They may not have been the funnest of game modes, yeah, but they still kind of followed the RPG route and, you know, stay true to that. So hopefully this game stays true to that open 3D, you know, platformer environment gameplay, and I can't wait to see exactly how we're going to play this game. And if the other games are anything to go off of, we probably will play as an additional character eventually after Mario. I know they show Cat Mario here in the scene, but I'm pretty sure they don't want to spoil exactly what's going to happen. I really do think you're going to finally play as Bowser. We played as Bowser's minions and then Bowser Jr. Now it's time to play as the Koopa King himself. I think the other games also gave us the idea that this mode is probably going to be a pretty big chunk of gameplay. You know, I don't think it's going to be anything as big and as expansive and as, you know, a collectathon as the actual 3D World game itself, because 3D World has a lot of content. Remember, there's lots of extra worlds, extra missions, and extra stars to get, and even like a bonus final level. There's so much stuff to do, and the 100% is crazy within this game. And I even think they're still going to add additional characters, but you know, we still have a long time to get to until February, so I'm sure more announcements and more information will come out, and I think that's just the case. They're kind of hiding some of the most important stuff right now, but I still think 3D World's extra mode, Bowser's Fury, is still going to be pretty decently, you know, big. I think it's going to have some cool things to do in it. I think there's still going to be a little bit collectibles. I don't think it's going to be as expansive and as ambitious as 3D World was, if that makes sense, but I think it's going to be a pretty good chunk of game, you know. It's part of the title, it's part of the casing of the game, even though it's a small little sliver of the title on the box art, but I do think it's going to be some good stuff coming from this. I still do think something playable with Bowser is going to happen. They've been leading up to this with Odyssey and stuff, so I think something with Bowser is going to happen. We just have to wait and find out. But like always, I leave it up to you guys. What do you think? Do you think this is going to be an actual whole brand new part of the game? Is this just going to be a small sliver of like DLC stages? Or is this going to be something entirely different? Is the other game something to look at for this? Or am I just kind of getting ahead of myself? But thank you guys so much for tuning in, and all your answers and all your questions and everything, I will try to look over as much as I can and see what you guys have to say in the comments down below. So feel free to comment whatever opinion you have over the topic discussed today. But thank you guys so much for tuning in, and like always, I'll see you in the next one. See you guys.